Alright guys, so welcome to today's video, and in today's video I would like to cover up a Buddha transformation similar to what you guys have in Blox Fruits, but only similar, not exactly the same thing. And we are going to start off in Paint.net, and I'm not going to explain any tools, any controls whatsoever, so if you're not familiar with Paint.net, then become familiar with it, watch other tutorials about it whatsoever. I'm just going to quickly create everything we need, and then I'm going to switch over to Roblox Studio, in which I'll continue explaining stuff. Now, the thing we are going to create now is, or are those, well, how do you want to call it? So, those spell-looking circles, which pop up when you transform into the Buddha form. I'm not going to exactly recreate it, I'm going to make something similar. So, let's change, or let's resize this one. So, 800, 800, there we go. Okay. Select this one. Okay, so I forgot to change the color. Of course, change it. Okay. So I have some effects right here installed. So some plugins. You guys probably do not have those. So go ahead and watch the video on how to install those plugins. As I've told you, I'm not going to explain anything regarding Paint.net. Okay, there we go. So it kind of fits into the thing. You guys can see in Blox Fruits, so that's all you see in Blox Fruits. Well, but only kind of. Where is it? Yo, where is this thing? Yeah, there we go. So we have to make this thing glow, you know? Therefore... There we go. So remove this background. There we go. So this is our spell. It is similar to what you guys have in Blox Fruits and not exactly the same thing. So you guys should be fine with it. Now, go to File, Save As, and then select a folder in which you want to save things, and make sure to save it as a PNG. So that's the most important thing, because we want to keep this transparent background right here, and you can only do this with PNG files. Now, do it. I'm gonna pause the video. We are going to see each other back in Roblox Studio. All right, so here we go. So we are now back in Roblox Studio, and so I am going to make use of this Titan shifter model we have created in a previous giveaway episode, so I highly recommend you to check out that one as well, because the mechanism is pretty much the same. So this transformation, so I'm not going to copy this whole model, I'm just going to copy this Titan, okay, and I'm going to turn this one into a Buddha. There we go. Let me select all of those parts. Let me turn it to yellow. Let me set the material to neon. There we go. So this thing is glowing a little bit too much. Let me see what we can do about it. Okay, we can't do anything about it. Nope. Yeah, then let's keep it neon, actually. So this is our Titan. And let's go inside of this humanoid root part. Let's add a particle limiter inside of here. And increase the size drastically. And decrease the rate and set the speed to 0. And set the lifetime to, I don't know, 1 maybe. Let's increase the size a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more again. There we go. I actually like this one. All right. So we actually do not need a particle limiter to what I've wanted to do formally. So I've just came across this coincidence. So I actually wanted to add something else as a particle, but realized that I need a billboard GUI and not a particle emitter. But due to this coincidence, I found out that we can use those sparkles as pretty cool particles as well. So what I want to add is pretty obvious. So I want to add this image we have just created. I'm gonna add that. Let me turn down the transparency a little. Let me increase the size. Okay. Let's increase the size a little bit more. I'm not really happy with the size. Okay, there we go. So now we are fine. Let's call this one spell. Why do we have this body gyro inside? I cannot remember. Okay. Make sure that enable is false. No, that it is on by default. We are going to turn it to false later on. Let's call this Buddha. And we are now going to script this. So move it inside of the replicated storage. And then create a tool. Let's call this Buddha. Yeah, make sure that requires handler is false. Then create a local script. And inside of that local script, create another script and a remote event. Let's call this one Buddha client. This one Buddha server, and this one Buddha remote. So what we have to do is that when the tool, so script parent, has been equipped, so when this event happens, we want to fire server this remote event, and this fire server will lead to a reaction of this server script, which leads to the transformation. So script Buddha remote fire server. Let's call this one Buddha on. So that's a task. So to turn the Buddha mode on. And we have to do the same thing for unequipped. So when the tool is being unequipped, so Buddha off. And that's actually it for the client. Now let's move inside of the server script. And inside of here, we have to refer to this remote event. And we have to do on server event. So that's an event which happens when this remote event has been fire servered. And when the remote event is being fire servered, we usually have, well, we have one argument. So this one argument is a must, and that one argument, let me get out of here. And this one argument is the player. So the player is always being passed automatically. You do not even need to put the player inside of here or anything. The player is automatically being passed always. And the second argument is the first argument of this fire server function. Means, so this what argument is this one or this one, depends on who has, or it depends on the fire server. So if what is Buddha on, then else if what is Buddha off, then. So if we're supposed to turn this Buddha on, then what do we have to do? Okay, so what we have to do is that we have to refer to the character first of all. So local C player character. Now, yeah, C humanoid body height scale, set it to 5. Body width scale, set it to 5 as well. Humanoid, wait. Body depth scale 5. And I'm not sure about the other one. Yeah, it must be the head scale. So if you're wondering, I'm honest with you, I'm humbly honest. I'm taking some looks inside of here because I have already created this whole transformation once, you know, so I have to take over some parts of the code. Head scale, so let's set it to 5 as well. Okay. So what I've done right here is that I have deleted the face of our player and deleted accessories. I'm not sure if we are supposed to do that as well, but we'll hopefully see. But what we are going to do is we are going to clone this Buddha. So game, get service, replicated storage, Buddha clone, Buddha parent, C, and Buddha C, Buddha humanoid root part, C frame, player, right, player, no, just use C, so C humanoid root port, C frame, local W, instance new. Well, so I'm gonna explain this W right here, but it should be pretty obvious, guys. Okay, so let me explain you what this W does. So, or let me just quickly go through this first of all. So we are referring to the replicated storage where the Buddha is located, and we are cloning this one. And we are putting it inside of the character of our player. And we're setting the C frame of our Buddha's humanoid root port, so the root port of our Buddha, to our character's humanoid root port. But I think that we should do this before we parent it into the character. Second thing regarding this W, so we are creating a new instance, which is a veld, and this veld right here makes things attached to each other. So we are putting this one inside of the Buddha, and the part 0 of the veld is the part you're attaching something onto. In this case, we are attaching the Buddha to our pre-existing character. So part 0 becomes our humanoid root part, and part 1 is of course the Buddha's humanoid root part. Let's test this out. Let's see how this is going to do. Yeah, okay. My internet, my Wi-Fi connection is amazing. There we go. So, body height scale is not a valid member of. Okay. Do you guys spot the mistake? Well, yeah, the mistake is that I forgot to write that value to all of them. Okay, so let's go. So it obviously did not weld the Titan, no, the Buddha, onto us. Oh, that's the reason why I did not clone it, because I did not see the arrow right here. So, of course, not body head scale, but only head scale. There we go. Okay. Now I understand why I turned everything invisible. Yeah, so we should do that as well. So instead of destroying everything, as I've done right here, so I've destroyed the accessories, for example, and faces whatsoever. So instead of doing it this way, I'm going to make everything invisible, because we still need this stuff, okay? So we should not destroy it, because when we destroy it, we cannot get it back. And we need to get it back because we have to turn this Buddha off someone. So what we have to do is that we have to loop through the character by using get descendants, so that we actually get everything inside of it. And we have to check whether the thing we're currently at is either a mesh part or a basic part. Because if that's the case, then we want to make sure that the transparency is set to 1. And this should also work with decodes, I think. And decodes, of course, so the face of our character, so things like that. And there we go. And it did work, yeah. There we go. Now, you have to do the same thing as we've done for the Titan. So, this thing. So I'm talking about this one. I'm gonna paste it inside of here and then I'm gonna explain it. So, what this does, what this part of code does, is that it basically replicates every animation which is currently playing for the player to our dummy, to our Buddha in this case. So it means our character, when we like turn into or transform into the Buddha, is invisible. So we're not able to see what kind of animations our character is doing. But we know that the character is supposed to do some animations. Just because the character is invisible to us, it does not mean that the character is not performing any animations. And what this code now does is that it actually spots when an animation is being done, or when an animation, new animation is being done, when an animation is changed whatsoever, and it takes that animation and plays it for the Buddha, so that this happens. So as you can see, our Buddha right now is playing an idling animation, and we're also able to walk as the Buddha, and that is because the character, which is currently invisible, is having that animation, and this code basically replicates it onto the Buddha. But this method has some kind of problems. So as you can see, when I stop walking, there is this, yeah, there is a short time of period in which the animation is not, or the script is not really reacting that fast. So that's one disadvantage of this whole thing. But well. So one more thing I would like to do. I'm gonna add the spawn function. I don't care if it's bad practice. So I'm gonna add a tween. And I have already done many tweens in my videos, so I'm not gonna go through how this tween works. So Buddha, human-like root port, spell. Basically, first argument is the instance you want to tween. And the second argument is the tween info, basically some kind of settings is set for this tween. And the third argument are the goals, or the state you want to achieve via tweening. So if you really do not understand what I'm trying to say right here, then, well, go ahead and watch a video about the tween service, about tweening, etc. to get a better understanding on how this tween service works. Okay, let's play this. Let's see how this works. There we go. So this tween right here is responsible for this spell to rotate and to fade away after 10 seconds. And once this tween is done, we are disabling the spell, so the spell GUI. And that's actually it for transformation itself. If you guys want to see more on this Buddha, then let me know as a comment or inside the comment section, and I'll make a video about the Buddha attacks as well. What we're going to do now is that we are going to make this Buddha go away, so once you have unequipped. So how is this going to work? Yeah, it is just everything right here, but in reverse. So I think that we have to set this to 1. We have to take this. We have to set this to 0. And we have to check whether C holds something called Buddha. And if that's the case, then we want to get rid of it. That's it. Okay. So after this, the humanoid root port of our character is also set to transparency 0. We have to set it to 1 to make sure that the humanoid root port stays transparent, because that's the default state of the humanoid root port. And another error down here happens because we have destroyed the Buddha model, and this code right here is still running. Although we have already finished this, so we have already gone through this section, but it still is playing. And it is looking for the Buddha model, although we have already destroyed the Buddha right here, and that causes issues. So to take care of this error, we have to check every time when this happens whether the Buddha still exists. So if C find first child Buddha, wait, then. So if the Buddha is still there, then we want to perform this. Of course, we are spamming this now too fast, so this causes issues. And yeah, so the default use of this is, of course, you not spamming the key. So if you do not spam it, then it won't cause issues. Wait. There we go. Okay, wait, it doesn't really work that well. Let's add a weight inside of here, maybe that will do something. There we go. Okay. What we actually can do, so if this thing still causes errors, local se pcall function. So we can wrap this inside of a pcall to get rid of those errors. So those errors, they really do not affect the model itself. They are just there. And what this pcall does is that once you wrap something inside of it and the code inside of it creates errors, those errors are not being printed out or anything, but you can still see if this whole thing causes errors by referring to one of those variables. So this first variable right here is set to true. So if as equals true, or if only as, then this means that the code right here has run successfully, so without errors. But if you do if e, so if e equals true, or if e is not null, so if e is null, so e stands for error, then e has an error stored inside of it, and this error has to deal with any of the code inside of here. But that's another topic. So we have now finished this transformation right here, guys. So if you want to see more of this Buddha mini-series, then let me know inside of the comment section, guys, and give me ideas on what kind of attacks I could possibly create for this Buddha we have right here. That being said, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, share this video to all of your friends, leave me feedback in the comment section, guys. Take care and see you in the next video.